The entire bank lobby fell silent when the security guard escorted a tired single father toward the exit over a missing $9. His worn-out shoes scraped against the polished marble floor as customers stared. His little daughter clutched his hand, fighting back tears, while the bank manager folded her arms with a satisfied smile. No one noticed the quiet message arriving on the father's phone at that exact moment. It contained a confirmation that would change every life inside that building. Less than 2 hours later, the same bank manager would watch in horror as an $86 million withdrawal request appeared on her screen. And the decision she made over just $9 would destroy the career she had spent 20 years building. Before we continue this unforgettable story, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who believes kindness still matters, and subscribe to Beyond Kindness if you believe every person deserves respect, compassion, and a second chance. Your support helps stories like this reach more hearts around the world. Every weekday began the same for 36-year-old Daniel. Before sunrise, he prepared breakfast for his 8-year-old daughter, packed her school lunch, washed the dishes, and hurried to catch the city bus after dropping her at school. Since losing his wife to cancer 4 years earlier, every responsibility had rested on his shoulders. There were no vacations, no weekends off, and no family waiting to rescue him whenever life became overwhelming. There was only love, determination, and an unbreakable promise that his daughter would never feel abandoned. Daniel worked as a cybersecurity consultant from a small rented office. Most people assumed he repaired computers because of his simple clothes and old pickup truck. Very few knew that he specialized in protecting international financial systems from sophisticated cyber attacks. Even fewer knew that years of patient investing and developing security technology had quietly transformed him into one of the wealthiest private investors in the country. He never displayed expensive watches, luxury cars, or designer suits because he believed character was measured by kindness rather than possessions. Despite his enormous wealth, almost every dollar remained locked inside long-term investments and business accounts. Daniel paid himself a modest monthly salary because he wanted his daughter to grow up understanding gratitude instead of privilege. That rainy Thursday morning became unusually difficult. His daughter woke up with a mild fever, forcing Daniel to spend extra time caring for her before taking her to school. The unexpected delay caused him to miss an important automatic payment. By the time he reached his neighborhood bank, his everyday checking account had accidentally fallen $9 below the required minimum balance after a small service charge was applied overnight. Daniel entered the elegant branch carrying nothing but an old leather folder and years of quiet dignity. He politely explained that he simply wanted to deposit money from another account and resolve the issue immediately. Unfortunately, the branch manager, Rebecca Lawson, had already formed an opinion before hearing a single sentence. Rebecca believed appearances revealed everything about people. She admired wealthy clients wearing tailored suits and ignored anyone dressed modestly. Daniel's faded jacket and tired expression convinced her he was just another struggling customer wasting her valuable time. Instead of listening patiently, she criticized him in front of waiting customers. She announced loudly that responsible adults should learn basic financial discipline before opening bank accounts. Every unnecessary word landed like another stone upon Daniel's already exhausted heart. His daughter, who had quietly accompanied him because school had called about her fever returning, stood beside him with frightened eyes. Daniel never raised his voice. He calmly repeated that the problem involved only $9 and could be corrected within minutes. Rebecca refused. She insisted bank policies were absolute and accused him of trying to manipulate the system. Then she instructed security to escort him outside for causing what she described as a disturbance. The humiliation spread through the crowded lobby. Some customers looked away in embarrassment. Others secretly recorded the scene with their phones. Daniel gently held his daughter's trembling hand and walked toward the exit without arguing. He knew that dignity sometimes meant leaving quietly rather than fighting loudly. Standing outside beneath the gray sky, Daniel comforted his daughter, assuring her that one person's cruelty should never become another person's lesson. Kindness, he explained, was most important when someone else chose not to show it. As they prepared to leave, Daniel's phone vibrated. Months earlier, an international technology company had finalized the purchase of his cybersecurity platform after years of negotiations. The final payment had finally cleared that morning. $86 million had officially entered one of his investment accounts. His financial advisor immediately recommended consolidating several accounts into a different institution that specialized in private wealth management. The advisor explained that transferring everything immediately would simplify taxes, investments, and international operations. Daniel looked back toward the bank where he had just been humiliated. He hesitated not because he wanted revenge, but because he still believed people deserved opportunities to correct their mistakes. He returned inside and quietly requested assistance with transferring $86 million out of the bank. At first, the receptionist assumed she had misunderstood the amount. Then, the account number was verified. Within minutes, senior executives received urgent notifications. Regional directors began making frantic phone calls. The atmosphere inside the branch transformed completely. Rebecca watched the screen as the withdrawal request appeared. Her face lost all color. The customer she had publicly embarrassed over $9 controlled an account whose departure would remove one of the largest deposits the branch had ever managed. She suddenly remembered every insulting word she had spoken, every customer she had encouraged to judge him, every opportunity she had ignored simply because of his appearance. Rebecca rushed toward Daniel with a completely different attitude. Her voice softened. Her smile returned. She apologized repeatedly and offered refreshments, private offices, premium banking services, and every privilege previously denied. Daniel listened respectfully without interrupting. He explained that respect offered only after discovering someone's wealth was not respect at all. Genuine kindness should never depend upon a person's bank balance, clothing, or social status. His words echoed throughout the silent lobby. Employees lowered their heads. Customers quietly reflected upon how quickly people often judge strangers. The regional director arrived shortly afterward, hoping to save the relationship. He sincerely apologized for the treatment Daniel had received and admitted the bank had completely failed its own values. He promised a full investigation and immediate disciplinary action. Daniel appreciated the honesty but made his decision peacefully. The transfer would continue. Not because he wanted anyone punished, but because trust, once broken so publicly, could no longer support such an important relationship. Over the following days, the story spread rapidly across financial circles. Security footage confirmed everything witnesses had described. News outlets discussed how a successful businessman had been publicly humiliated because employees assumed poverty based on appearance. The bank launched an independent investigation. Rebecca's performance history revealed several previous complaints involving disrespect toward elderly customers, immigrants, and working-class families. Most complaints had been dismissed because no major financial consequences followed. This time was different. The investigation concluded that Rebecca had violated multiple professional standards, damaged the bank's reputation, and directly contributed to the loss of an $86 million client. Her employment ended immediately. She left the building carrying a small cardboard box filled with personal belongings, realizing that one careless moment of arrogance had erased decades of hard work. Meanwhile, Daniel quietly continued living almost exactly as before. He still drove the same old truck. He still prepared breakfast for his daughter every morning. He still volunteered at community technology centers, teaching teenagers valuable computer skills free of charge. When reporters requested interviews about the incident, Daniel declined nearly all of them. He never wanted fame. He wanted change. Several months later, he established a charitable foundation dedicated to helping single parents receive financial education, career training, emergency childcare assistance, and small business support. Thousands of struggling mothers and fathers found hope through programs funded by someone who understood how difficult life could become after losing a spouse.